Assalamu alaikum, everyone. You are listening to the travel show with me, Asma, and my husband, Ahmed, on Ramadan Radio London, 87.9 FM. You can listen online at ramadanradio.org, and we're streaming on Facebook and YouTube as well. So you can also you can text us or call us or WhatsApp us with any feedback and questions, comments, throughout the whole show, if you've got any. And
as everyone knows, it is the last few days of Ramadan now, the last few moments. And as such, the last few shows, and for Travel with the Brownies, it's the last show. So I know you guys have all been holding back to, contact us on this last show. I just know it, I can feel it. So, no reason to hold back now. This is it. Get in touch now. We won't be here at least until for another year. So, get in touch. Let us know how you found it, if it was worthwhile, if you're planning to follow up with some of our tips and hints. And, today we've got quite a special show planned, inshallah, so we hope you like it. But please get in touch. And Asma, what's that number?
So the number is 077 614 60614. That's 077 614 60614. So definitely give us any questions, even feedbacks of all our shows. You can, so we can take it on board in case we are on next year. And yeah, any questions even throughout the show, because we're going to be talking about actual holidays that you can go on. So let's actually move on to the quiz question. So the quiz today, so for those who have been joining us every week, you know that we always have a really nice quiz for you all. If you've got any quizzes, if you know the answer to the quiz question, so the people who are looking online, and you can see the quiz on the screen right now, but I'll read it out to you as well. Just WhatsApp us your answer. So the quiz question is, which city in the UK has more miles of canals than Venice? Okay, so it might be interesting to know, because you think that Venice has probably the most miles, because if you've been to Venice, you can see that it's just intertwined with like so many canals going through, in and out, going through the whole of Venice. So that would be interesting to know if anyone knows the answer to that. So which city in the UK has more miles of canals than Venice? Okay, so let us know with your answers, if you've got any answers, if you know of any, or if you want to guess, that's fine as well. We don't mind. We like guesses as well. So yeah, let's move on to, so we're going to be talking about UK travel destinations today. So different travel destinations that you can go to as a family. So especially because of all these, green list, the red list, the amber list. And so obviously we can travel nationally in the UK as well. So if you want to go anywhere in the UK, okay, so listen carefully to today's show. We're going to be talking mostly about family sizes of 2 adults and 2 children.
Yeah, sounds about average, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's the average that we're probably going to be talking about, 2 adults and 2 children. The duration, we were talking about maybe we went for 2 nights and 2 days, just because, some people are not lucky enough to have the whole of summer holidays, or so they take time off work, etc., to go on, to go on these holidays. So instead of, you don't even need to take time off, you can just go in the weekend. So that's why we went for 2 nights and 2 days.
Yeah, and I think that's the plan, because with it being the UK, you don't need to plan so far in ahead, or you can just go ahead, go on the weekend and go for it.
Yeah, and exactly, weekends are, we've got a comment coming in, weekends are perfect, and they really are, because everyone's free, you've got the vibe wherever you go, you've got a nice kind of touch to everything. But yeah, let's move on, okay, because let's actually get straight into one of the first destinations. So we went for Eastbourne, okay, because I feel like Eastbourne, you hear of people going to what kind of beaches do people mostly go to?
Or the
Well,
most
Londoners,
yeah.
Londoners.
But even maybe beyond London, I think, but Southend, Brighton.
Yeah. So a lot of people go to these beaches, but
Bournemouth.
Yeah, Bournemouth. Yeah, all these beaches that people go to, but we actually a lot of the destinations that we're going to outline today is what we've been to.
Yeah.
So we thought let's outline some of them and show the viewers some of them. I mean, listeners to some of them.
And Eastbourne is becoming more and more popular, I think.
Yeah, it is.
It's getting a lot more attention, and sort of everyone knows about it now.
And and I mean, if you're from London, it's not far at all to get to Eastbourne. It's actually easy to get by train. It's actually easy to get by car as well. So and these are actual pictures of the Eastbourne. So on the right is Eastbourne Beach. So some of the sightseeing things that you can do, you can just walk along the beach, and in that picture on the right, you can see there's an Eastbourne Pier. So you can walk along the pier and have that kind of thing. And remember, we said over 2 days.
Yeah.
So you can actually do explore the whole beach and the pier and everything along the coastline and at Eastbourne. And then I guess the second day you can do
Yeah, and the good thing about Eastbourne is that they've got well mapped and routed hiking routes, and you can do different distances. So there's like a short 2-hour one, and then it goes up. So then there's like a 5 or 6 hour one, and then I think there's one just over, that's about 10 hours that you do over 2 days or something. So
is that along the beach, or is that
It goes some parts of it along the beach, and then some parts are through the Greenland.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we've also got the picture on the left, which is actually the Seven Sisters Cliffs.
Yeah. And
that is so beautiful. Yeah. It is really, really lovely to go to the Seven Sisters Cliffs. It's so, so, so beautiful. You can actually see that a lighthouse there just very near the cliffs. But be very careful actually when you go, because the cliffs aren't as you can see in that picture, they don't have any fences or anything all around. So you can actually so you're walking along this kind of cliff area, and it's actually really nice. And it's not a long walk to go to. It's not a long walk to go on.
No. And on that note, actually, I remember there's like warning signs saying please keep away from the edge. And you see a lot of people like, they think they're brave, and they take a quick selfie and
right on the edge.
Yeah, what we're saying is be safe. It's a nice view. It's not that nice to fall to the bottom. Yeah. So obviously look after yourself and those around you, but just keep your wits about you as well.
Yeah. So especially if you've got two children, because this is based on 2 adults and 2 children. So keep an eye on that. But it's actually really, really, really beautiful, because you can actually see in the distance as well. And it also almost seems like very clear, pristine water in the sunlight. And on that fact, actually, a lot of our recommendations, or the places that we're recommending on this show today, is more so based outdoorsy.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it's a rainy day.
So we were talking about this
before, yeah.
And obviously, what I was saying, in the UK, you have to be prepared for rainy days, regardless of what season you're in. In the middle of summer, be ready for a downpour, because more often than not, it probably will happen.
That's our climate.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
The climate that we live in.
And we're the type of people, and I think particularly like obviously being in the UK and going on these trips, you just have to have that mentality in mind. So like, even if it is a bit rainy or a bit cold, put your wellies on, put an extra base layer on or something like that, and
or pack it in your car, because a lot of these destinations we're going to be talking about is packing your car up and going to these places and going because I mean, instead of we've got so much to explore in the UK, so many places to explore in the UK. We don't explore them because we want to go to our hot exotic places. But imagine we do in the south coast, or in the south of England, we do get up to about 30 35 when it hits that the peak summer, you do get really hot kind of climate. So stick to the UK instead of going to these
and I think it's quite pertinent in current times where, you've got all these different travel lists and, as you were saying, red, amber, green, and you don't know when it's going to change, or,
yeah,
you
in
don't
case
wanna,
you're out there and then it changes to red,
Yeah.
and then you're like, how are you going to get back?
So particularly for this summer, I know a lot of people will be thinking about where they can go in the UK and, make the most of the weather when it is hot. And our tips are, well, our sort of locations are very much around enjoying the weather while it's good, and still finding that the UK has a lot of beautiful and wonderful places to see, and they're not all packed to the brim with people, with tourists.
Yeah, there's so many of these places that we've been to ourselves. One of the places we're going to go into a bit further in the show, that there was hardly anyone on a beach. So yeah, definitely we should have a look. But this is so we picked Eastbourne, so we're actually starting from a very kind of the cheapest kind of location, and in terms of what you can do on a budget. Okay, so we actually did this Eastbourne trip ourselves, and we packed our car with the tent. And obviously, as you can see, the people who are viewing this online, we packed a stove, we packed our little pots and pans and little cups and plates and stuff, and put it into the back of our car and said, let's just go to Eastbourne, or let's just go. And we ended up at Eastbourne because we just wanted to go south. And and people think that the camping facilities are not great.
There's a lot of misconceptions around camping, I feel, and particularly around, I would say, the sort of the Asian continent, so to speak. A lot of us Indians and Pakistanis and Bengalis, not to stereotype, I know everyone's not like that, and but definitely,
but we can talk because we've come from that Asian background.
Even members within our own family have those same misconceptions that our camping is, you dirty places, and you can't shower, and you have to use a toilet outdoor, like in a hole or something. It's not like that at all. And some camping places we've been to, they've got better facilities than hotels. They're fully functioning. They have their own shower rooms and proper toilets that are cleaned.
That really cleaned every single day, or even more, obviously more than once a day, I guess. But really, really nice. I mean, we went to the one in Eastbourne. We went to one of the camping sites, and it was really clean, really clean toilets, really clean showers. And obviously you pitch up your own tent, you rock up to this camping site. They show you your designated area where you can put your tent up, and then you obviously pitch your tent, and then and they've got facilities of the toilets and stuff, so you don't have to use the nature, should you say. You don't need to use the nature. You can actually use a proper toilet. And if you're packing, and obviously to keep the costs very, very little, do your supermarket shopping. Okay, don't go to maybe Marks and Spencer's or the bigger brand places. Go to Aldi. You got some good budget deals and really, really good quality stuff as well. So get your stuff. So we've actually done accommodation. So if you can see on the online viewers, your tent pitch comes up to about £25 per night. So if you per night to rent out the space that you're in, you can do it for £25. And then your supermarket shop, we thought it comes for about £40, just because, I mean, you can do it really cheap. You can do it cheaper than £40.
That's a generous amount, and that's only because if you're going with nothing from the house.
Yeah, like literally nothing from the house. Like, we've got in my cupboard, we can just take all the spices, take a tin of beans, take some eggs, like you've got in the picture on the left. That was our breakfast, the first night, from the first morning. And there you go. That's your Eastbourne kind of trip, pretty much done. So for the first day, go to the beach, go chill at the beach, relax in the sun, that kind of thing. You can do your trek as well if you want along the beach, and then go to your campsite. Then the next day you can do the Seven Sisters Cliffs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just so I hope I didn't offend anyone by mentioning nation, but I'm just saying, just some people, there are misconceptions. So just putting that out there.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer.
Yeah. So your total spend of this one would be £90. So I think that's a pretty good one, £90. And if you're obviously going to stay for longer, you can do it for longer. And then you can, even one of the days, you can actually spend just at the campsite and you can just do, naturey things like,
You could kite flying,
you
could do a little barbecue, you could do all the sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can do like treasure hunt with the kids, that kind of stuff. And you can, and they've also, a lot of these campsites have their own tea rooms. So you can actually go to their tea room, or you can see the animals, with the kids, that kind of thing. So it doesn't even need to be an expensive trip at all. So are we ready to move on to the next one? Okay, so the next one is
the Peak District. And obviously, as a lot of people know, Peak District is absolutely massive, and there are loads and loads of different places you could go to. We have selected a few.
Yeah, they're just a few places that you can probably go to. And
the wonderful thing about the Peak District is that it's such a huge and vast place. And there are so many different things you could go to, even if you went on multiple occasions. So we've been like, I don't know, a handful of times, and every time you've gone to somewhere different.
You go to somewhere different, and you see some different kind of views. I mean, the picture on the left is actually the Lady Bower Reservoir, and that's actually really beautiful to see if you climb up to the mountains. This was actually a funny a funny kind of story. We were trying to go. We were trying to go up to the mount, up to this cliff where you can see right now where we're standing at. If for the online viewers who are seeing this, so there was a route that goes all the way around, and you have to take a route. You have to go all the way around, and you go up the cliff from the actual route. And I was standing there looking at this cliff, and I was like, Ahmad, I really can't bother to go all the way around. Like, can we just cut through this bit here and just go in the middle of the fields where the cows are? You could no, they weren't cows, they were sheep.
Sheep, yeah.
I was like, let's go and cut through this. And then basically
there was a walkway, but it wasn't on the maps we were looking at, I think. And we just saw, look, okay, that's where we need to get to. We could see it almost. And the route we had on our phones was taking us this really long route all the way around.
Which would have been, I think, a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And that route was probably like less than an hour.
Yeah, I think it was like half an hour, 40 minutes. I mean, it was a lot more steep.
It was very steep. I would say, take these shortcuts. I don't know for you trekkers out there, if you've ever taken a shortcut on a mountain or on a cliff or whatever, you do see the consequences of that.
Yeah, definitely. But for our reason was that day we went quite late, and we were just sort of like, okay, let's get there as quickly as we could. We weren't like trying to spend so much time sort of thing.
Just doing a slow. I mean, I think we started that trek at like late afternoon or something. And it was this wasn't in summer, as you can see. You can see from the pictures that it's not peak summer. It was I think it was springtime.
Yeah, maybe. I can't
remember. But so I mean, the lesson to learn is, if you are going to go on a trek, you just start in the morning, so you don't need to take shortcuts. But the shortcut did pay off, really. But you can actually, when you're walking through, and then the sheep are like looking at you like they're gonna attack you at any moment, then you feel like, oh, what should we do? But anyway, going back to this, so you can go to the Peak Wildlife Park. It's a really nice. I mean, we didn't go ourselves, but I was doing some research. For kids, it's really, really nice because you get to feed like animals, and it's and you get to see different animals as well. And as Ahmad said, it's such a vast area, the Peak District, such a beautiful area. I mean, you can do different areas per day. I mean, if you wanted to do one very easy trek, and then one not with much incline, just like a kind of what's the other, not steep, the opposite of steep, flat.
Had a mind blank then.
Yeah, you literally had a mind blank. So like a flat area, you can actually search these very, very, very good apps out there. They can use. One of the apps that we do use is All Trails. All Trails is a very good app to use to have a look at different different treks and routes that people have been going on.
Even for cycling, not only walking, it's got cycling, it's even got running routes. And it's just like through all these different places across the UK. So it's not just London focused or around London. It's, I think there's stuff in Ireland and up north in Scotland and all over the UK, basically.
Yeah, and it's also got pictures as well, so you can see, like, for the gram, if you're all about that life, it shows you kind of pictures what you're going to see at the top of the cliffs and or mountains, etc. So it's quite nice.
And although we're talking about, maybe a 2-night stay and over the weekend, something like the Peak District you could do for longer if you wanted to. There are, if you're not comfortable camping or whatever it is, there are plenty of hotels in the area or around the area. And you could move around. So, you could, the southest part of it is maybe about 2 hours drive from London, and at the most north, probably about 5 hours. So there's a lot of in between that you could do and move around if you wanted to as well.
Yeah. And also, like, if you're not a trek person, you can go to the Chatsworth, which is the picture on the right. It's like a big kind of hall / mansion / nice building, and you can just spend the day there and have a picnic with the family, and it's very picturesque pictures that you can take there, and even can go to the Abraham Heights. You've got a cable car as well. And even there you can there's like you go to the top, and then there's like you can dine there. You can have a really nice view whilst dining there. It obviously depends on your budget and what you're going to, because obviously the dining there.
Who needs Switzerland when you've got Abraham Heights?
It's true, actually.
Right? Switzerland with all their cable cars everywhere you go.
But this is quite beautiful as well. We as I said, this one we didn't go to, but I think the next one we should.
It's on our list, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on our list to go to the cable cars. Yeah, and the dining experience apparently at the top is really, really nice, which I'm sure is going to be very expensive. So that would probably rack up your total amount to a bit more than what we've written on the next slide. Let's go.
But I think just on that note, I think it's that you might be more willing to spend a bit more money because you're not spending as much money on the travel.
Oh, yes, of course.
You're not paying for flights per person. You're just taking one car usually, or if it is train, then I want to say it might be cheaper, but that's not always the case.
It's not in the UK anyway.
It's really weird.
It's really expensive. Trains are.
Yeah, but if you're going to places like this, you're most likely going to take a car or a coach, and that is generally cheaper, right? Yeah,
because I think train connections aren't very good into the Peak District, are they?
No.
So yeah, I would say take your own car, even rent out cars. You can get really good deals nowadays on cars, renting out cars. So definitely rent out a car, because even the drive in the Peak District is so beautiful. Even the drive. So if you are lazy and just want to drive through the Peak District, just in case you're going to Manchester, go through the Peak District. It's actually really beautiful. There's so many lovely views, and you can actually stop and maybe even take a picnic on one of the routes, and enjoy the view. It's so green, so beautiful. So you may be asking, well, what about accommodation? Okay, so accommodation, so we had a look at something different, and we thought, let's have a look at something, not just like a hotel to say like your Holiday Inn or your Hilton or whatever it is.
Something different, isn't it? Like, obviously, if you're doing something in the UK, then you might want to try something different. And glamping, I find, is a really good go-between sort of the not the absolute luxury and convenience of a hotel, but not the sort of do it yourself and pitch up your tent sort of camping. And glamping is that in between for those that aren't comfortable with camping, I'd say, but still want to have the full experience of nature. It's your own little cabin in a sense, and it's most of them aren't very spacious or anything, but it's there for what you need it. So you've got a space,
bed,
exactly, somewhere to rest, somewhere to shower and clean yourself.
And even so, a lot of these are self-catering as well, so you can actually get self-catering places. And then also you can actually get these, nowadays you can get these glamping pods with a bathtub, not bathtub, with a hot tub as well. So if you're about that hot tub and you want to spend a day just doing glamping stuff, then you can actually splash out a bit more on these glamping. They actually got very luxurious as well, don't they?
Yeah, they are. Considering for what they are actually really luxurious.
So they can get so you can get luxury glamping as well, or you can get budget friendly. But we've seen on this is approximate on average kind of costs that we've come across. So about £75 that we've come across for these per night glamping, which is really, really good. I mean, about food. Yeah,
so what we've said here is you might do an £80, or you probably put aside £80, but that's also taking into context maybe one night dining out. So still, relatively cheap, I would say, £240. Obviously, we're not taking into consideration fuel costs or anything like that, but just say it's a full tank sort of thing.
It will be a full tank from London, isn't it?
Exactly, but still considerably cheaper if you were to take 4 people abroad for that sort of trip, I would say. So still worth your money, and doesn't have to compromise on your luxury in certain elements. Definitely not.
I mean, you can also go to hotels quite easily. One place that's actually quite nice, and it's halal, and it's in the Peak District. It's called a place called Millie's Hayfield, and it's actually it's a B&B. So if you don't want to go for this glamping experience, it's actually a B&B, and it's a tea room as well. And they provide like fully halal breakfast, and you spend your day doing the tea room experience, etc. And it's owned by a really nice lady, and she there's very, very good reviews on it. So it's actually really, really beautiful place as well. The surroundings as well is really, really nice. So from what I saw on her website, she's got a really nice her rooms are really, really beautiful, but the maximum is a double bedroom. So obviously if you do go with family, you probably have to book out 2 rooms. But it's about £78 if I could remember correctly. But just check on our website if you want to visit there as well.
Yeah, and I think like these sort of places are slowly becoming more common in the UK in terms of halal hoteling, so to speak, or hotel, halal locations to stay at. So at the moment, you have to do quite a bit of research to find them, but there are definitely these places out there for those of you that would prefer that element of traveling alongside. Because I know in Turkey it's becoming a big thing, this halal holidays.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
and a lot of people will now go there because of that. So if that was your main purpose, then you can do that in the UK to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, yeah. But research. I mean, it does take a lot of your time, and it does take a lot of effort to actually to find a good place to go to. That's available as well, because I'm sure this summer, it's like all the really good accommodations, probably even already they were mostly gone. I mean, I was looking at some of these places today and yesterday, and some of them are, especially the really cool places, they're already booked out. So especially the weekends were booked out. So you might want to take a couple of days off from work and just do a weekday kind of visit to go to. But this one,
we have put it in at a total cost of £240. That's for accommodation and food.
So, we've said that it's still cheaper because, I mean, if you were going to go abroad, you would probably spend, even if it's like a short haul, cheap flight, you would probably spend about, maybe 100. Okay, let's say about £70 to £100.
At least double for a full tank of fuel, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
For 4 people anyway.
So definitely it's a good place to go to, Peak District. There's so many places to see. And now let's go to our final kind of destination that we were
wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And this one is actually an absolute gem. You know, we feel, you know, it's an absolutely lovely place. Like we were saying, you know, it's definitely not brimmed with tourists.
Definitely not. I mean, okay, if you go to Great Yarmouth, it is.
Yeah.
If you go to Great Yarmouth, so that's the second sightseeing place that we've put onto our list here. But if you go to Great Yarmouth, yeah, it will be brim, and it will be like you know, so many people there, and you know, and it's still good to go to. I think it's got a really good vibe.
Yeah,
it's got
absolutely.
a good vibe, and it's got the pier and all that kind of stuff. Which a lot of the UK coastlines do have. They have the pier, and they have the, you know, they have like all these fun things on.
And
the
it's got
coast.
that convenience, you know, like the fish and chips is just there, and you know, little shops, and your hotels will be a lot closer by, a lot more variety to choose from, that sort of thing. But if you go to somewhere like Burnham or Overy Staithe, which is what I was referring to, which I think is an absolute gem. It's a lovely place.
We literally, I would say, maximum, and it's a whole stretch of like beach, long, like whole stretch of beach, and you would say probably approximately like 100 less than 100 people there. Yeah,
but like in our bit, like we could maybe see like 10 or 20 people
from afar. Yeah,
and they're all at a
distance. Like, so definitely with this whole coronavirus distance, social distancing, all this kind of thing, this is a beach to go to. And I mean, if there's a lot of listeners listening now, we might not have that beach.
yeah, that's true. It might not be so underpopulated,
but it's actually really beautiful. So you can, and there's we called it a pre-pool because it was like a pool area before you get to the sea, and it was so clear. You kind of, I'm not even joking, like it's like if you go to Maldives or the Mauritius or whatever, you know, how you can see your feet in the water. It was like that.
That clear.
It was that clear.
Yeah.
Like it was.
It's not an exaggeration. It actually was that clear. And it's like, I remember saying at the time, like, because we'd just come back from Dubai recently at the time, I think. And we were like, you know, why would you go to Dubai where Dubai is like full with people, and, you know, you're fighting for space. So expensive. You're fighting for space, and it's probably too hot, if anything, if that can be a thing. And, you know, you've got, and like literally one of the sandiest beaches we've been to, really clear waters. We went on an amazing day, so it was really nice. It was warm.
So warm, and it was so nice. And I remember so clearly. So we were kind of leaving the beach area, the sea beach area, and we were going so disclaimer that it's a bit of a walk to get to this beach.
Yeah.
So you have to walk like, how long?
40 minutes.
Was it that long?
Half an hour maybe.
Half an hour to this beach. I know it's okay, so some of you like, oh no, I'm not going. What? 30 to 40 minutes to get to the beach? I forget it. Trust me, it's worth the walk.
Definitely.
It's so worth the walk because it's so secluded, so beautiful, and the water, I'm not even joking, wasn't even freezing cold.
Yeah.
Like,
we decided to go for a swim.
Yes, it wasn't even freezing cold. Like, you know, when you go sometimes to like Southend or whatever, it's freezing. Yeah, this was not freezing cold. Maybe it was the day, or I don't know what it was, but it wasn't freezing cold, and it was so lovely. So I've lost my train of thought of why I went on that. But we were coming off this, and we were going on to the path to go back to the car, and this lady was like, "Oh, this is such a lovely day. It's such a lovely beach. It's so beautiful, isn't it?" And then bearing in mind, the only hijab view, or the person
and bearded
people in probably, I don't know, in that area. So, and she was like, "Oh, so it's just really, really nice." And she goes, and we were just talking to her, "Yeah, it's so beautiful, it's so nice, we'll definitely come again," and, you know, that kind of stuff. And she said, "Don't forget to make sure you don't tell anyone about this place, keep it a secret." And we were like,
if you're listening, lady, we don't know your name, but
we're so sorry, because we had to share it.
Yeah, like, we had like, it's such a beautiful place. We can't help but share it. Like, it's like everyone needs to see this place, but go one at a time, not everyone together. So everyone has that experience.
Yeah, so we'll just have like a secret WhatsApp group where we say, I'm going today.
Yeah, something like that. We'll have to arrange it.
So yeah, there's so many places to visit in Norfolk, really. There's the Great Yarmouth. Obviously, people know that there's the Golden Mile, because obviously the sandy beaches are beautiful. And you've got the North Norfolk Railway as well. They've got steam engines and really beautiful kind of trains to look at as well. So definitely something interesting to go with a family or children, etc. So one of the days you can spend at the beach. Second day you can do a bit more sightseeing, explore Norfolk a bit more. And let's talk a bit more about the accommodation. So this one, so we didn't do camping.
No.
We didn't do glamping.
No.
Where we thought, let's have a different side to it and let's do the normal thing, which is hotel. So we found hotels at approximate about £100 per night. But
they do vary, so you could, depending on your budget, you could go a bit less.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is average £100 per night. Of course, Norfolk is probably one of those areas where people do visit. So in the summer, especially the Great Yarmouth, etc. So it's a bit more expensive. You could obviously definitely have those interesting, unique places as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can go to some good website. I think one of the good websites is Cool Stays. So there's very like interesting places that you can stay at, like pods and really nice tree houses that you can stay at. So this is not just in Norfolk, throughout the UK.
Yeah.
You can find these like really unique places, really unique cottages that you can stay at.
It doesn't have to be an Airbnb or a hotel.com sort of place that you find. But obviously staying in a hotel, usually you're going to be eating out or paying for food. So we've increased the budget for food, going up to about £200, which leaves your total cost around £400 for a weekend stay in for Norfolk. A family of four.
I mean, for a family of four. This is just average, and you can actually go cheaper.
Yeah,
you can actually go cheaper. I mean, especially if you go to these B&Bs or self-catering kind of accommodations. You can bring your own food basically and make your own food one of the days eat out, that kind of thing, or have fish and chips one of the days. Whenever you go to the seaside, you have to, this is like a compulsory thing to have fish and chips. So you can you can find a little takeaway shop with a chicken and chips and back up your bill to like what, £5.
Not that cheap.
Not that cheap. Not anymore. I remember when you can get like wings and chips for like £1 or something when you're younger.
That doesn't exist anymore. Like pizza or something.
Yeah. So so you can go to Norfolk, but there's so many amazing. This is just 3 places out of so many of the amazing places you can go to.
Yeah.
Especially like I wanted to talk a bit like even about Wales as well. There's so many beautiful places to go visit in Wales.
Yeah, and we've sort of focused it around England because we're doing it London centric. But if you do have more time, Wales, what was that place we went to? The Brecon Beacons.
Brecon Beacons, 7 waterfalls. Yeah, there's 4 waterfalls. Oh, was it not 7?
No, that was 7 Sisters.
There's so many like beautiful waterfalls that it's like a trek, but it's not a hard trek at all. Brecon Beacons waterfall trek. It's not a hard trek, and you go along and you see like 4 different waterfalls, and the last one is like the biggest waterfall. It's so beautiful. You can go behind it as well, behind the waterfall.
It was so amazing.
So there's so many different places. And you could.
Talking about weather, I remember on that day we had like really hot sunshine, rain, like downpour, and then snow. All in one day. Yeah. Within a few hours, we were there for like maybe 5-6 hours, and that happened in that space of time.
So be prepared as well.
Be prepared, yeah.
But honestly, there's so many beautiful places.
And even like, we're focused on scenic, picturesque places, but for those people that like to see monuments, or we've got places like Stonehenge or Bath, the Great Angel of the North, up north, obviously, Hadrian's Wall, those sort of places where you could go see places, or there's museums in nearly every city that you go to.
Or just stay in London and go and do museum visits. There's so many things to do. And we just need to do research.
What I find is that a lot of us, or maybe this is just us, maybe I should just say us, but we always go to different places and we like to see the monuments. Like, you go Egypt and see the pyramids, and you might go China to see the Great Wall, or you go to these different places and see these great monuments. But a lot of time we forget about these great places that are in the UK that a lot of people will come from outside of the UK to go see, and we ourselves, being residents of the UK, don't
actually explore them to the max. And
like even Scotland, you've got the great castle, or Arthur's Seat, lovely places.
And the beaches there, because people don't go to the beaches in Scotland much, and even Wales actually. They're not packed out. They're not the pictures that you see right now, where it's like you see packed out beach pictures and things like that. They're not at all. No. You just need to do so one of the days. The reason, the way I found the Norfolk one is I just literally zoomed into Google Maps on the coastline, and just zoom into coastlines, and then you can just do some like quick research on those villages or those cities, and people have, like, we're in the age of like technology. People have uploaded some kind of picture somewhat of that area, which is really, really interesting. So which is convenient, not interesting, it's convenient for us, because you don't need to actually have gone there to know if it's a good place or not.
And within a matter of minutes you can find if it has all of your amenities that you need nearby if you want to spend some time, or you can find out very quickly whatever information you need about a location. And I mean, you should use that to your benefit.
So it's not just, so the world is not your oyster, England is your oyster.
England is your first oyster, maybe. Make the most of it. It's like, there's so much out there. And one of the things we haven't touched on is I guess we have touched on slightly, but the other nations like Scotland, Wales, and Republic of Ireland, and
Northern Ireland,
Northern Ireland, sorry. These sort of places are, as different sometimes than England, and you might think, they're all the same, and it's just the same places, or same scenes that you can see, but a lot of the time that's not the case.
It's not the case. And you know what? On that note, actually, there's even little islands off the coast of mainland UK, basically, and one of them being St. Ives. I don't know if you guys have seen, if anyone, our listeners or anyone has been to St. Ives. We were looking at it recently. I mean, you get like a miniature plane. What is it called? What are they called? Chartered.
Those little seaplanes or something.
So they take you to these islands. I mean, it might be a bit expensive. It might be a couple of £100, for your whole family to get on. Not even maybe about £300-400 to get onto the flight to get to that island. But you don't have to do exchange currency. You don't have to exchange currency. You just go there. And honestly, like with St. Ives, I was looking at the pictures. It looks so tropical, so beautiful.
They say most of the year round for St. Ives is mostly hot, like warm weather anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can do these like really nice tropical things in the UK. I mean, we just have not explored it because we're so used to going abroad and exploring the world out there instead of exploring.
Yeah, and sometimes we feel we can only have a good time if we go abroad. Like, it's only counted as a holiday if you go abroad or something.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case at all. Like we said, there are so many lovely places to explore and see that are fairly close by, and you don't need to,
spend a fortune as well. Because we always think about the cost of when we're there. We don't include the cost of the flight, for example.
Yeah.
So we might be spending like easily £2,000, on a family of 4, going somewhere. But actually, you can do a really good trip in the UK for a fraction of that price. Yeah. I mean, of course, you're not going to get, the souvenirs, if you, those kind of things. But, to have a good time with your family, it doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's move on to the answer of the question.
Yes, let's do that.
So the quiz answer is Birmingham. What was the question? Remind us. Did you remember it?
Oh, I can't remember. What was it?
So the question was about which city in the UK has more miles of canal than it does than Venice.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Birmingham. You wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that until I had a look.
Not to suggest Birmingham is, the next Venice, but
yeah,
there you go. Some interesting
interesting fact there. But we would just like to give
on
you
that note,
we would like to say Eid Mubarak to you all.
We hope you've had a blessed Ramadan and enjoyed listening to our shows.
Yeah, and don't forget, honestly, I'm feeling like this right at the moment, like you haven't done as much in this Ramadan than I should have. Just use these last couple of nights to do it. Even though you've wasted most of this Ramadan, just make the most of these last few nights and just do what you were supposed to do. And inshallah, we can celebrate Eid in much more of a fulfilled way.
Absolutely.
Inshallah.
That's a good way to put it.
But yeah, inshallah, jazakallah khair for listening to us. We might have, hopefully we didn't bore any of you listeners, and we actually gave some interesting topics to you all. And inshallah, jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.